Greetings and salutations. How are we all doing? You know, I know, I know that I'm probably going to be called on the carpet for slaughtering yet another sacred cow. But I intend to do just that. Because, to be perfectly honest with you, we are in a situation here in this country where we can't worry about being popular anymore. That's not my fucking concern at this point. My concern at this point is not only the frightening nature of the people running for office and the frightening nature of the people running for office and working and influencing our children to the point where I just can't tolerate some of the posts that I see that miss the boat entirely. And it doesn't really matter to me who writes them. So Caitlin Johnstone, I know people just fawn all over her. You know I never did. I am not saying I don't read her and that I never did read her. I read her, but that's all I do, okay? I don't worship the utopia prepper because, first of all, there is no utopia with billions of people in the world. It is not possible. Utopia is one of those enigmas that will never be achieved, okay? The Venus Project, let's take that as an example. The Venus Project, in order for that to work, people in the world would have to care about each other. People in the United States would have to care about each other. People in the United States don't give a fuck about each other, quite frankly. I'm not saying that everybody is like that. I'm saying not enough people care about each other to make that work. And by the way, the Venus Project was taken over by people who were self-serving. So that went boom very quickly because wherever there are people, there is greed and power. And that is what drives many people. But Caitlin was all upset that a teacher was, I don't know if she was suspended, fired, or whatever, for spreading Russian propaganda. Now, I have to just say this. Teachers are charged with teaching children facts, truth, okay? A school, when you're teaching children, is not a repository for your political beliefs. You can get into those discussions when you are dealing with kids in a discussion type of classroom. World history, for example. When my kids were in school, when I was in school, when I took world history, we often engaged in discussions. But teachers dealt with facts. They did not deliver to you their message. Right now, what is going on in the Ukraine is being propagandized by Russia, no matter how you want to look at this, okay? And, you know, again, we have gone over this ad nauseum. RT, Sputnik, all of that is Russian state-run media. And if you think that the only people spreading propaganda are the people in the United States, you need to think again. You have a whole host of people who are working in Russian state-run, state-funded media. And you think they are truthers. Chris Hedges, Lee Camp, John Kiriakou. None of these people are truthers, okay? Because none of these people criticize Russia at all, at any time. And I have followed these people. And not because I admire them, but because they want you to believe that Russia plays no influence in what they do. Yet the only thing they ever really do is criticize the United States. They never really criticize Vladimir Putin, and they're not criticizing him now. Your classroom, if you are a teacher, is not a free speech zone for you to promote whatever the fuck you believe. Your classroom is to teach children facts. End of story. I don't care who you are. There is responsibility that comes with free speech. There is responsibility that comes with being a teacher. That's my first bitch of the day. Number 2, the Ukraine again. Pat Robertson decided to come out of retirement. You know, I don't even know what to say. The thing that wouldn't die came back to tell everyone. Hang on here. Just let me make sure God knows I really don't want to, mess this up. So Pat Robertson, he comes out of retirement and goes back on the 700 Club. To defend Putin. And this was exactly what he said. I think you can say, well, Putin's out of his mind. Yes, maybe so, said Robertson, who is 91 years old, mind you. But he knows exactly what the fuck he's saying. He's not suffering from dementia. He is the same crazy right-wing Christian asshole he always was. But at the same time, he's being compelled by God. He went into the Ukraine, but that wasn't his goal. His goal was to move against Israel ultimately. You know, Armageddon, the rapture, this is every extremist Christian's wet fucking dream. And they are willing to sacrifice you just to get it. They are willing to defend a despot to get it. And I know there are plenty of people on Facebook who are thinking that Putin's denazifying the Ukraine as he literally attacks nuclear power plants, targets children. And, I can't argue with you people. I wish I had a button on my keyboard, and every time someone posts that bullshit, I could just poke the button, it'll say fuck you on it. Vladimir Putin is not a liberator of anybody. Perhaps you have forgotten exactly who this man is. I'll make sure I remind you in the body of this. I don't need to read to you exactly where Vladimir Putin is coming from. Vladimir Putin was a member of the KGB who never wanted the breakup of Russia. And that, my friends, is what the Ukraine is all about. You can dream on about whatever you want to dream on about. You are perfectly free to do so. And I am perfectly free to tell you that you're idiots. Okay? But Pat Robertson, he's not the only one spewing this bullshit. The white Christian nationalists are fully behind Vladimir Putin, just so you understand that. So, in the midst of all this Ukrainian stuff, the president of the Ukraine decides to conduct a Zoom with members of the U.S. Senators, okay? So they get on the Zoom with Zelensky, and he is now managed to survive 3 assassination attempts by Putin since this whole debacle started. But what was requested of these people prior to the beginning of this Zoom was that they do not share any information publicly or show photographs to social media while it's in progress. But that didn't stop Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, and Steve Daines of Montana, who posted pictures of Zelensky on their Twitter accounts while the meeting was in progress, writing that they were on a call with Zelensky. They were asked very intentionally by the Ukrainian ambassador not to do that. And showing absolutely no caring or concern, not only for Zelensky's well-being, but the well-being of the people of the Ukraine. These two ignorant scumbags did exactly what they were asked not to do. I can't tell you the breathtaking bullshit that the Republican Party is. It just keeps getting worse on a daily basis. And we're talking about oppression here. We are talking about a man who has entered a sovereign nation, whether you agree with Ukraine or not, whether you think you know what their government is all about. They are a young nation. They are having growing pains. That is their decision to decide what they want. The Ukrainian people are not behind this. They do not consider Vladimir Putin a liberator. And they certainly do not see him as someone who is saving them. By the way, the Russian people have more balls than you ever have, because they are actually standing up to Putin in their own nation. We can't get people here to fucking vote. So, the critics, they can shut the fuck up. And then finally, we're going to move on to just a couple of other people here. And I'm going to get back to the whole free speech thing again that I addressed at the very beginning of this. In the state of Florida, we have just passed a law called Don't Say Gay, which will prevent the discussion of LGBTQ topics in school. This is, very possibly a violation of First Amendment rights. And if I were in the state of Florida, I would be challenging this law as a parent, quite frankly. Not only does it suppress free speech, Caitlin Johnstone, where are you, honey? Where are you? But it puts LGBT students at risk. If they don't feel comfortable coming out at home, their one final repository is their school, where they can feel safe and protected. The law just took that away. And if you think it's going to stop with Florida, there's this thing called ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, which is owned lock, stock, and barrel by the right wing and the GOP in this country. And I promise you that this will spread from state to state to state, just as other things have. The abortion laws, for example, 6 weeks, 12 weeks. No exception for rape and incest. In some cases, no exception for the parent's health, the woman's health. It's like a cancer in this country. And the Factivist Project exists to try to fight that. We are now, I'm going to tell you it again, updating the website. It's a lot of work because there are a lot of problems here. But let me talk to you a little bit beyond this, and let's go to Governor Greg Abbott in the great state of Texas, right up there with Florida. In Texas, Greg Abbott has taken it upon himself to be the dictator of all things transgender. So now, gender-affirming care, and I know all about this because I'm in Massachusetts and my child is in transition. And I understand just how important it was for my own child to feel support at home when she spent many years on an island trying to figure out how she was going to let people know that she was uncomfortable. in her own body. They have now classified gender-affirming care as child abuse in Texas. I'm going to just say this right flat fucking out. Classifying gender-affirming care as child abuse is child abuse. It is not the care that is child abuse. It is people who believe they have the right to insinuate themselves into other people's personal lives. My child deciding that she is transgender doesn't affect you in the least. It doesn't affect your fucking life. It doesn't stop you from being who you are. It doesn't oppress anything about you. It's none of your fucking business. How's that? He also threatened criminal penalties for any licensed professionals, including doctors, nurses, and teachers, who fail to report this abuse. And if you think this is just talk, Texas officials have already begun investigating parents for the crime of supporting their trans children. So what are we going to do then? Turn them over to the state of Texas with Greg Abbott in charge? Let me remind you that this motherfucker is thinking of running for president. If you think this is all about freedom, what the right wing is doing here, you are in dumb fuckistan. And you need to wake up. Nobody in this country is doing anything to push back on any of this. All I hear from the free speech aficionados out there is how they're just trying to say what they have to say. Even if it's racist and anti-Semitic. Tulsi Gabbard has gone full on right fucking wing. Greg Abbott is an affront. He is a dictatorial, abusive bastard, and he still has a job. Marjorie Taylor Greene still has a job, in spite of the fact that she spoke at a white nationalist conference. Oh, and big woo. Big woo. She was condemned by her colleagues, but she still has a job. Which brings me to Wendy Rogers in the state of Arizona, the completely off the fucking edge state. I don't know if it's the vibes from Sedona that are affecting these people, but Wendy Rogers is a state senator who has publicly embraced a white supremacist group. These are not fringe candidates anymore, folks. They are all over the place in the GOP. This is the GOP. This is what people do not get. These are not fringe people that the GOP is moving out. These are fringe people that the GOP is criticizing but embracing at the same time. Just like their fucking abhorrent leader, Donald Trump. How this man is still the leader of this party is a breathtaking look at just how goddamn nutless the Republicans are. All of them. Every one of them. She praised Vladimir Putin and criticized Zelensky. She was censured, but what does that mean? It means absolutely nothing. It means absolutely nothing. She still is running. She still has a job. Wendy Rogers' default position at all times is racist, bigoted, and anti-Semitic. There is no denying it. The words come out of her goddamn mouth. She is not just to be censured. She should have been expelled. Marjorie Taylor Greene should have been expelled, not just removed from her committees. Lauren Boebert should have been expelled long ago. Yet not only are these people still working, but there are more of them coming up through the pipeline. courtesy of the GOP. The censoring of these people will not stop them. They will continue on. Because as long as they feel comfortable keeping their jobs, there is no stopping these people. Carrie Lake is another one. Another scary person from Arizona. If it were me and I lived in Arizona, I'd be getting the fuck out of that state now. I don't care how beautiful it is. Beauty is only skin deep. That state is rotten to the core. And by the way, I have some words for you too, folks. This country is as good as the people in it. It's just a fucking tract of land. There is nothing here to love and worship. It's a continent. It's part of a continent. It isn't in and of itself a great nation. Great nations are built around the people. Stand the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. I don't understand what is wrong with any of you, but seriously, if you are not in the panic zone right now, you must be borderline dead. I'll talk to you all later. By the way, tonight's stream, we're going to talk about America First, a poison group that many of these people, including Carrie Lake, Wendy Rogers, and others, play house in. And that group is run by a fascist named Nick Fuentes. We are heading to full-on fascism here, people. I don't know what everybody's talking about with the Ukraine. We have fascists we need to fight right here in this country. I'll talk to you later.